We also have to stop having a tantrum every time things don't go our way. Hello, beautiful. Welcome to Gems and Pearls with Love. I hope that all of you precious and lovely ladies are all doing well. In the previous video, I talked about a few different reasons why your man may not be leading. As promised in that video, I am now going to be discussing some things that we can do to encourage and inspire our husband to step up in that leadership role. As I mentioned in the previous video, there may be some reasons why your man is not leading, and those reasons may not have anything to do with what you are doing or not doing. Maybe there's some trauma in his past. Maybe there's confidence that he's lacking. It can be a large variety of reasons why your man is not leading in the relationship. And it may not be anything to do with you in particular. But as I also mentioned in that video, no matter what the reasons are why your husband may not be leading, these tips that I'm going to give you will be helpful. I want to remind you that it is not our responsibility to try to change our husband. We are not supposed to be trying to change anyone. So don't get me wrong. What I'm sharing today is not about you trying to change him, but it is about you encouraging and inspiring him. So maybe you watched the previous video and you realize, yeah, I am guilty of some of those things. Maybe you were the one that was leading, or maybe you were not respectful. Whatever it was, if you realize that, you know what, yeah, I am guilty of some of these things, you want to acknowledge it. That is the first and most important thing to do, is to acknowledge it. You don't want to just go and start making all these changes and doing these different things without first acknowledging the fact that, you know what, honey, I realized that I wasn't really respectful, or I realized that I wasn't supporting you, or whatever it is that you realize you've done. And make sure you say, you know what, I'm sorry for that and I want to do better. Ask his forgiveness, especially if it's something that you've done that was hurtful and damaging, and maybe you didn't do that on purpose. And I'm going to believe that you didn't do it on purpose. However, you realize that some of your actions, some of the words that you may have said was damaging and hurtful to him. So you want to make sure you acknowledge that. You want to make sure that you ask his forgiveness for the things that you've done wrong. And let him know that, you know what, I'm going to be trying my best to do better. He still may proceed with caution. After all, to him, this kind of just came out of nowhere, but at least it sets the stage for what's to come. The next thing you want to make sure and do is to get out of the driver's seat. After all, how do you expect him to be the one leading? How do you expect him to be the one driving you guys in a certain direction if you are in the driver's seat? So my love, it's time to unbuckle that seatbelt and step out of the driver's seat. You need to work on taming the tendency you have to take the lead and control things. Another thing that you can do is to get in the habit of asking his opinion on things. Babe, what do you think about this? Where do you think we should go? What do you think we should do? Get in the habit of starting to say, let me ask my husband first. If somebody is inviting you somewhere, if they're asking you for a favor, something that is going to take up your time and attention, start saying, let me ask my husband first. Instead of saying, hey babe, Sarah invited us over on Saturday for lunch, so make sure you put it in your calendar and make sure you're ready. That would be you leading. That would be you taking control. What you really should be doing is when Sarah has invited you, say, let me ask my husband first and get back to you on that. Then you go to your husband and you say, hey babe, Sarah invited us over Saturday for lunch. Do you have any plans? What do you think about that? Would you like to go? That shows that you value and you care about his opinion, and you're allowing him the opportunity to say, yeah, maybe we can do that next week. Or, yeah, sure, no problem, that's going to work. If you have children, I would encourage you to start encouraging your children to ask their dad for things. So when my husband is home, if my children are asking, oh, can we go to the park or can we do whatever the case is, I like to say, ask your father. It's not for every single little thing because really and truly that can be a lot, right? However, especially when it comes to more bigger things, I prefer them to ask their father so their dad knows that I respect them and that they are also getting trained to respect their father. Another thing that we should definitely be doing is building our man up, encouraging him, and causing him to know that we believe in him. We can do this by acknowledging his strengths. So, something I suggest you do on your free time, write down a list of things that you admire about your husband. Maybe it's that he's really driven and motivated when he has a goal or task in mind. Maybe it's that he learns really fast. Maybe it's that he's such a great father and he really takes the time to connect with his children. Whatever it is, write it down. Write down everything you can think about that you actually admire about him and start to pay attention to what he's doing and when you can slip those things in by just letting him know that at that time. So if he's lifting something, you can say, "You are so strong." Something as simple as that. Or, wow, you learned so fast. Like, I cannot believe that you already went from being a new employee to now training people already. Whatever the situation is, start to acknowledge and voice your admiration for his strengths. Start saying things like, "Babe, you got this. If anyone can handle this, I know you can. God chose you for this. I know that you will make the best decision for our family." What you say to your husband will be different than what I say to my husband. You have to know what area that he needs to be built up in. As I said, study him, find out what his strengths are, and make sure you voice those strengths to him. Therefore, even if the fact that he hasn't been leading is because maybe during his childhood and growing up, he was told the opposite. He was told that he's not going to be nothing. He can't do nothing. He's not going to be nothing. He's not going to come out to anything. Maybe he was told that he's stupid. Maybe he was told that he's a loser. Whatever it is, you are now going to be building him up. You are now going to be healing something within him by encouraging him and speaking life in him. Build him up. I want to make sure and add that when you are building him up and encouraging him, hoping that he will even desire to take his role as a leader, a great way to do this is by letting him know that you want him to take the lead. Let him know that you need him to take the lead. Allow yourself to be in tune with your femininity, your God-given femininity, and let him know that, listen, like, I need you to do this. Like, I want you to lead. Men have it within them. It is within their masculinity to want to be the hero, to want to be the one to save the day. So when he hears that you need and desire and want him to be in this role as a leader, that you don't want to be the one to make the decisions anymore. You don't want to be the one taking the lead and be in that masculine role. You want to rest in your femininity, but in order to truly be at ease doing that, he needs to take upon that role. That will awaken something within him. My next tip would be to support him and have his back. I actually touched on this in the previous video. I talked about the fact that it is so important and it means so much to our men when they know that even if everybody else thinks he's going to fail, even if everybody else kicks him when he's down, his wife has his back. Being the head of your home is no easy task. This is a very heavy responsibility because at the end of the day, if something goes wrong, it's on him. It's not going to be on you. It's going to be on him. So one way that we can make this load a little bit lighter is by him knowing that I have you, I support you. Even if things go wrong, babe, we'll figure it out. We'll be okay. When he makes a wrong move, and I'm going to say when because we are human and we're not perfect, and most likely at some point in time in your lifetime, he may do something that he's going to regret. how you respond, my love, is so important. Like, I cannot stress enough, my love, how important, how crucial it is to make sure that you are responding well when he slips up, when he fails, when he falls. The last thing he needs is for you to be kicking him while he's down by saying things like, I cannot believe you did that. Look, it's all your fault. See, I told you so. I told you this was going to be a bad thing to do. That's the last thing he needs. Most likely, he already knows that. He already thinks in his mind, I should have did this differently. I should have, whatever the case is. He's already beating his own self up. He might not admit that to you, but most likely he's already doing that. He doesn't need you joining in by kicking him while he's down. What he does need you to say is, I know that you did what you thought was best for our family. Things didn't turn out the way that we hoped, but babe, we'll figure this out. Let's learn from this and move on. Make it known without a doubt that you believe in him, that you think highly of him, that you believe that he is competent for this role. And, make sure you're sincere about it as well. If you are not actually choosing to work on your mindset and to think the things that you really should be thinking, and you're just saying all these words, he's going to sense that. He's going to know that you are not being sincere. If you, are actually thinking, wow, you're such a loser, and you just been rolling your eyes, but then you're just going to, after doing that, say, don't worry, we'll work it out. It'll be okay. Everyone makes mistakes. He's going to know you're not being sincere. So make sure that you are sincere in what you are saying. And in order to be sincere, again, work on your thoughts, right? Remind yourself that you make mistakes too. You're not perfect. I'm sure there's things that you've done that you regret as well. And the last thing you needed to hear was, you're an idiot. Why did you do that? Etc., etc. My next tip is for you to let him lead and to accept him for who he is. You two are one, but you're not the same. So he's going to think differently than you, and therefore he's going to do things differently than you. And that's okay. We have to allow him to be himself. We have to allow him to do things differently. Resist the urge to micromanage everything, to be like the person that's over his shoulder, just watching everything and just micromanage and nitpicking at everything he does. We also need to stop expecting the way that he leads to look the way that we expect it to. Sometimes when women say, my husband is not leading, it's not that he's not leading, but he's not leading the way that we expect it to, the way that we want it to. So therefore we just think he's not leading. We need to step back and realize, hey, is it really that he's not leading? Or is it just that it doesn't look the way I expect it to look? In letting him lead, we also have to stop having a tantrum every time things don't go our way. Every time he makes a call or decision that we don't particularly like, we cannot just have an attitude about it. We cannot have a temper tantrum about it. We cannot seek to punish him with our silent treatment or with the cold shoulder. In that case, you are not really allowing him to lead. You are not being submissive by just saying, okay, go ahead, do it your way, but then he is met with disdain and your bad attitude as a result because he didn't do what you wanted him to do. You cannot say, my love, that you want him to lead and then say you don't understand why he's not leading if when he does lead, you're not happy unless it is what you wanted. Of course, and I hope that your husband takes in consideration your thoughts and your opinions, and he wants to hear from you in order to even be a good leader. However, it does not mean that every single time that he makes a decision that is going to necessarily be what you suggested. We have to accept him for who he is and stop trying to change his mind on everything. Again, and I always say this, yes, share your thoughts. There's nothing wrong with you saying, this is what I think about this. right? Have a voice. He should want to hear your voice. However, we have to know when enough is enough, and we have to know when we cross the line from just sharing our thoughts to trying to manipulate, trying to change his mind on a certain topic. My last point, and I would say one of the most important, in order to inspire your husband to lead, is by your submission and respect. Think about it. What is the use in leading if the people you are supposed to lead refuses to follow? I know that submission is a very disliked word in today's society, but I believe a lot of that has to do with the confusion about what it truly is and what it isn't. If you do not know what submission is and what it isn't, I highly suggest you watch the few videos I have on that topic. I will link in the description box below. If you want your husband to lead, which I hope you do because that's God's order, then you must be willing to submit and respect his position. If your husband is not stepping up as a head as he's supposed to, then he's actually in disobedience to God in this area of his life. The good news is that scripture actually tells us what we can do about that. And it's not by nagging, it's not by preaching to him, and it's definitely not by trying to take the lead. In 1 Peter chapter 3, verse 1 and 2, it says, "Likewise, wives, be subject to your own husbands, so that even if some do not obey the word, they may be won without a word by the conduct of their wives, when they see your respectful and pure conduct." So our respect and pure conduct and our submission, that is what the Word of God tells us it's going to encourage and inspire him to obey God's word. And the good thing is that that's not only in just this aspect of being a leader and a head over us, it's also in every area of his life. So God gives us the answer right there. He tells us what we can do. Besides prayer, of course, that is something else we can do, is by being in submission and by our respectful and pure conduct. All right, so that is all I have for you guys today. I would love to know your thoughts below. Make sure you like this video if it has been encouraging to you, and share it to somebody else that would be encouraged, or share it on your social media platforms. If you have not already, be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you'll be notified about the next video. My next video is going to be the interview that I'm having with my husband. I believe so. I actually was hoping to have it up already, but honestly, we had a really crazy week. So I'm hoping at some point in time in this week, I'll be able to have that video up of me interviewing my husband and asking him questions, and yeah, letting you guys hear things from the male perspective. So stay tuned for that. And if you have not already, make sure you sign up to become a member. I am going through a book called The Proper Care and Feed of Husbands right now. It's been awesome. And yeah, I also just share a couple of random videos, and we have some discussions about different things there. So be sure to join. Till next time, bye-bye.